All-Stars 1 in a teams format was a disaster, and the problem with All-Stars 1 is a growing list, starting with casting, going into challenge execution, runway concepts, as well as a lack of preparation for such a short season and cramming so many All-Stars into a not-so-All-Stars situation. But this video is not looking to address that. In my personal opinion, I think a teams format could work and could be really interesting, as well as dynamic television. Add a few more stakes to the race and I think this becomes a genuinely interesting season, rather than watch a couple of production favorites get pushed all the way to the end. So in this video, we're going to simulate how All-Stars 1 could have run in some alternate universe where things get buck wild. One problem in All-Stars 1 that this video is going to attempt to resolve is the simple fact that the team format relies on one singular queen to fight for their chance to stay in the competition. That's genuinely not fair. In a normal Drag Race season, everyone has the opportunity to save themselves from going home. That is, of course, if they're smarter, funnier, or more agile than their partner, or if RuPaul likes them. And that save a hoe button, you know, the one for she-mergencies, was quite frankly never a viable solution to save both queens from going home. That button was far too disruptive to make a positive impact on the trajectory of the lip sync. And in many ways, that button seems to have been birthed purely as the solution in case Mimi I'm First had any shenanigans where she picked someone up. In any case, this reality will include both sets of bottom queens choosing a song to lip sync for their life to. With each lip sync, whoever wins gets to stay. There are a couple different ways that this scenario could run, whether it be both groups lip sync against each other, Pandora versus Chanel, Chad versus Mimi, and then whoever wins gets to stay, or make it even more interesting. If you failed as a group, you're clearly not synergistic enough to keep going, so make that duo lip sync against each other. Have Chad and Chanel lip sync against each other, longtime friends who really want to be in the competition, and Mimi and Pandora, who had a lot of infighting. Give them an opportunity to battle it out and see which one is better. And then a new team is formed. It creates drama, it creates stakes, and it's a fascinating way to tackle the team format. And Drag Race loves to be messy, and this format is nothing but mess. So let's get into the mess. And if you're interested in the alternate reality, there will be a quick recap on that afterwards. Episode 1 is It Takes Two, the challenge where they had to paint each other and do photo shoots. Latrilla is still the winner, and the bottom two were Mandora and Shad. We have original lip sync songs in this season, but for the secondary song, I am going to be ripping directly from season 14's Lip Sync Lollapalooza. Considering all of those songs were in the right timeline to be able to plug into All-Stars 1, Team Shad lip syncs to Opposites Attract. I think that Chad was always the producer pick to go to the very end, and I don't think that Chanel was ever on the radar. If they could have eliminated her early, they would have gotten her out of there. But they couldn't sacrifice Chad. So Chad, of course, wins this one. And round 2 is Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. Pandora was hot this episode, and she was mad at Mimi and did not want to be in her team at all. But if Pandora saw an opportunity to try and snipe Mimi out, I think she would take it. And I think that she would put all of her energy into staying the next week, especially if it meant getting to work with Chad. And so Pandora works her butt off and beats Mimi, maybe even a little producer push, because they probably didn't want Mimi there either. And so we have our new team, Chad-Dora. Episode 2 is RuPaul's Gaffin. God, I hate the Gaffin. The winner, of course, is Alexis, because Yara carried that team, and Alexis was so funny with her. But let's be real, Yara carried that. And the bottom two is Brown Flowers and Latrilla. Lip Sync 1 is There's No Business Like Show Business, where we will be putting Nina and Tammy together. Tammy, I think, quite clearly does not have the lip sync chops to stand up to Nina. So Nina is in and Tammy is out. And round number 2 is Respect by Aretha Franklin. Maybe this is a crazy move between Latrice and Manila, but she will lose on all the way out of there. Therefore, Latrice is in. So we have our new team, Lenina. Our next challenge is Queens Behaving Badly. Another one that gives me secondhand embarrassment. The original winner was Team Shad because they had so much synergy together and were able to connect with the crowd in a way that nobody else was. I think they would still be the winning team because Pandora would be able to keep up with Chad's silliness and might even ground Chad in the same way that Chanel kind of grounded Chad. And our bottom team is La Nina because I think Latrice really dragged that team down by not being able to get anybody to participate with her. And I just don't see Nina being able to connect with this challenge very well. And then of course, Team Rouge-Ubi, who also did dreadful in this challenge. The first lip sync song is Nasty. And I think it makes more sense to put Raven and Jujubee in this song. Honestly, I feel like Raven would probably beat Jujubee here, and this would be a rough lip sync to watch. I think there would be a lot of tears, I think there would be a lot of frustration, and as much as I would love to double save them, one of them has to go. I think Jujubee is the definition of a fine lip syncer, but Raven is a lip sync assassin for a reason. She beat all of those girls because she was that much better than them in her original season, where Juju kind of got songs lobbed at her that were in her wheelhouse, but when you put her in things like Nasty, she's really more of a lip sync survivor. Plus, I think Raven is more of a producer push. She would definitely survive this one. And then lip sync number 2 is Love Don't Cost a Thing by J-Lo, and it's between Nina and Latrice. In my heart, I think that Nina would be able to work this out harder than Latrice would. Seems more in her wheelhouse. This song is definitely more of a vibe, and I feel like Nina would capture that vibe better. So sadly, Latrice is out here. Making our new team, Rena. I could not think of a better name for Raven and Nina, because Rana also sounds weird. We come into a snafu here because our next challenge is the girl group challenge, where originally Chad and Chanel were the winners, but Pandora's here, and in no world does Pandora ever win a girl group challenge. And I think with Raven's ability to block and understand staging, and with Nina's artistry and makeup skills, I genuinely think they would be the stronger group out of everybody here. I love me some Yarlexis, and I want them to win everything, and I'm extremely biased towards them. But the judges were not feeling them by this point of the competition and wanted to see them go. And so I think they would be in the bottom purely because the judges were not ready to see any more of them, and with the ability for Chad to stay over Pandora guaranteed, because like, Pandora's not gonna win against Chad. I think they could put Chad in the bottom safely, knowing that she'll survive to next week. The first lip sync song is Don'tcha, and this lip sync will be Yara and Alexis, which Alexis wins. Yara was doing way too much in the lip sync. I don't think the judges were connecting with her specifically by this point. And Alexis is great TV, and they would want to retain that at least one more week, knowing that the following challenge was that superhero one. And I'm certain they would want to see more from her than from Yara. And round 2 is Don't Let Go by En Vogue. And with this lip sync featuring Chad and Pandora, I think it's pretty clear that Chad would sweep the floor with Pandora. But I think that Pandy would be able to hold up on her own for a while. I just think that Chad is far too fierce of a lip syncer to lose against anybody in this lineup. Maybe Alexis, depending on the song. Maybe. Episode 5 is Dynamic Drag Duos. Chad won this because of her storytelling. Not necessarily because the story was so good, but because the judges ate it up. They enjoyed her lack of sincerity and that she just had fun with it, rather than try to do something too serious. Even if I didn't think that pussy tightening was that hilarious. Chad and Alexis win this challenge, and Raven and Nina are the bottom 2. This comes especially as a blow since they just won the last week. The lip sync song is Dancing on My Own. I don't see this lip sync having tears and snot and breaking down on the stage. I see this being a straightforward lip sync where both of them are very good and very strong. The question I have is, was the top 4 always intended, or was it the judges felt so bad for putting best friends against each other that they had to retain them to the next episode? It's difficult to say, but for the purpose of the assignment, let's say that they choose to do a double save, and both Raven and Nina go to the finale because they were that good in this final lip sync. And then in the finale, the teams break up. Evaluate on your own who you think deserves that win more than anybody else. I am so biased towards Alexis Mateo that I would always give it to her, but I also understand that production was heavily favoring Chad, and the likeliness of her winning is high here as it was originally. So let's take a time machine back a few minutes ago, and let's discuss if the teams had to battle each other. The winners generally remain the same. Episode 1 has Mandora and Chad lip syncing against each other. Opposites attract is Chad and Mimi, in which Chad obviously wins. Mimi had no shot. And Chanel and Pandora lip sync against each other to Never Too Much by Luther Vandross. I think Pandora has no shot against Chanel. She's one of the better lip syncers in this bunch, and I think the only one who could have beaten her was Chad. Especially after watching her in that lip sync smackdown in All Stars 9, Chanel's got the sauce. Episode 2 is RuPaul's Gaffin. I still hate it. There's No Business Like Show Business has Manila and Nina lip syncing against each other. I think season 3 was Manila's strongest showing of Drag Race, where she was kind of unfocused and a little wild every other time that she came back. That's my personal opinion. I think she was so dead set on recreating that same manic energy that MacArthur Park had that she was unable to separate herself to be present in lip syncing. And we saw that in Nasty, and I think we'd see that here. So Nina wins. And then respect Aretha Franklin. I think it's very clear between Tammy and Latrice that obviously Tammy's gonna win. No, Latrice wins and Tammy gets sent back to the house. And our new team is still La Nina. In episode 3, Queen's Behaving Badly, Shad wins. And our bottom 2 is Rujubee and La Nina. Nasty is Jujubee versus Nina. And I stick to my guns that I think that Juju was a lip sync survivor here. She just had to sit back and let Manila take herself out by looking a fool. And I think that Nina would be able to connect with this lip sync song in a far better way than Juju did, considering that she moves more fluidly than Jujubee does, and I think would be able to connect with the energy of this in a more impactful way than Juju did. Nina is in over Jujubee. And then Love Don't Cost a Thing is Raven versus Latrice. I think that Raven would take this because it's more in her wheelhouse. Again, Latrice is better when she can do Broadway and gospel, and that's not really what this song is. I think it could be, but I think the judges would favor more what Raven did than what Latrice did. So our new team is Raven Flowers, which I still don't like that name either. In All Stars Girl Groups, Team Shad wins. They were the bias here. And the bottoms are Raven Flowers and Yarlexis. Even if I think Yarlexis should have won this challenge, it's not my Drag Race. I wish it was, because Alexis would have won day 1. They would have just put the crown right on her head and said, all of you are going home at some point, but she's winning. Round 1 is Don'tcha, and I'm putting Alexis and Raven together. I think Alexis is objectively one of the strongest lip syncers in this group, right next to Chad, right next to Chanel, and then Raven coming in 4th. In my opinion, I think Alexis would have won this had Yara not interrupted her. Alexis was getting into the groove and was about to start sexing it up, and I think we've seen many times that Alexis knows what she's doing. She's got all the spice when it comes to lip syncing. She could beat just about anybody by just being her. You know, as long as the judges aren't favoring someone. So Alexis is in and Raven is out. And round 2 is Don't Let Go by En Vogue, where we see Yara versus Nina. I think that Yara was kind of suffering the same problem that Manila was. She was just a little unfocused when it came to her lip sync, and I think that was her problem in the All-Stars 6 lip sync smackdown. I think she would try to do a little bit too much, and I think that Nina would retain more of that restrained energy that was needed for this song. So Nina is in over Yara. And our new team is Team Alexa. I know in the other universe, Raven and Nina won that challenge, but I think because Chad and Chanel were so symbiotic with each other, with Chad's kind of wild energy and having more fun in the competition than she ever did before, and Chanel grounding her at every single opportunity, they balanced each other's yin and yang in a way that was so special to watch. And of course, Chad was the producer pick to stay, and if you put her in the bottom, there's a chance that she could maybe go home. I don't think the producers would risk that and would keep her high, especially because in the other world she was paired with Pandora, where this time she's with her grounding energy. I think she would still keep that win. Episode 5 is Dynamic Drag Duos. Now this is a delusional opinion, but I think this would be Nina's redemption episode. After so many times in the bottom, after struggling so hard, I think this would be her moment to shine. Chad and Chanel created a pussy tightening character for their comic character, and I think that was horrible. I don't think that most of the judges even really liked it that much, but they won because they wanted to have Rujubee lip sync against each other. In this week, I think that Alexis and Nina would be so strong with each other. They would be powerful, they would have a great concept and an excellent execution. And even if I think that maybe the judges weren't favoring them that much, I think that they could win, maybe in my delusional brain, over Team Shad. And with the lip sync song being Dancing on My Own, Chad and Chanel together would create a energy that was akin to Rujubee being in the bottom. I think there would be tears and breakdowns and snots and breathing into paper bags. And this would be a completely justified double save. They've been very good friends. They had a moment here in this competition where they addressed some of the hurt that had happened in the past with each other, and they learned how to be strong and synergistic throughout the entire competition. So Team Chad makes it to the finale. In this universe, I think the top two would be Chad and Alexis. I think that Alexis would be so fun to watch in every single round of that finale, and I think she would have a light about her that would be impossible to not reward her with top two. But in this universe, I think that Chad would still be the producer pick to win, even if I think that Alexis is a better lip syncer than her. Would you want to see a version of this team's format in All Stars at all? Create a scenario where there's drama and stakes and constant shuffling around of queens. We would get to see energy shifts and team dynamics balance each other out, differences of aesthetics, and if you keep everything in performance, similar to what they're doing on Slation Royale where so many things have been performance-based, you get to see the queens' raw talent. And maybe make it so that the runways are separate from each other and they don't have to walk them together or in tandem in any way. And in my delusionalist fantasies, I would give the win both times to Alexis, but again, it's not my drag race, it's just a fantasy. What if All Stars 1 looked like this? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see y'all on the flip.